this is Dante, and welcome to the TNA Push Show. As always, I'm joined by my co-host. He's the star of the show. He's the fourth Rascalz, and he allegedly has no relation to Steve Maclin. He's the one and only Burt Maclin.
How's it going?
It's going good. We have so much to talk about tonight, but before we get into tonight's show, quick word from this week's sponsor, Shoom Bar. The protein mushroom bar. It is made of not psychedelics, but for powerful mushroom adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it will actually stick in your head rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has ready, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system. And we all know y'all need that on those nasty-ass gym mats. And on top of that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to eatshoombar.com and use code BODYSLAM at checkout for 25% off your first order. All right. Well, before we get into tonight's show, let's talk about this Nic Nemeth, these Nemeth brothers segment. So, Nic Nemeth finally, the Samoan Watchman. Hey, what's up? What's up, amigos?
What's going on?
Let's talk about this Nic Nemeth brothers segment. So, as we all know, at Sacrifice, Nic Nemeth attacked Matt Hardy. And a lot of people were kind of wondering why this happened. You and I have been talking about for the longest time that Nic Nemeth was going to turn heel. They were planting the seeds of a Nic Nemeth turn heel. And we were right. They did plant the seeds of a Nic Nemeth heel turn. We sure never got an explanation as to why they did things with JBL, but that's a different story. So, according to Nic Nemeth, he took credit for everybody talking about TNA and seeing TNA was the best place to be, the best company in pro wrestling, and it was all because of him. And when he was world champion, he was the face of the companies. He talks about how there was a sellout after sellout, and everybody knows it's because of him. And then the Hardys came back and took all the credit. And Matt Hardy he blames Matt Hardy for trying to attempt to drive a wedge between him and Ryan. So he calls himself and Ryan the greatest brother tag team in the history of pro wrestling, and he calls the Hardys frauds. Leon Slater comes out and interrupts the Nemeths, and he ends up getting attacked by Nic Nemeth after he charges at Ryan, even though Ryan charged at him first. But that's a different story. So it seems to me like the Nemeth brothers are going to be going after those tag team titles. What are your thoughts on this segment, Nic Nemeth's explanation, and the potential of the Nemeth brothers going after those tag titles?
Well, first off, I did like the heel turn in Nick's promo just because I like when heels go out there and tell blatant lies. Just him saying the sales have skyrocketed, merchandise, etc. And then just the ultimate lie of him saying, and this is how you know he's a great heel, because it got me a little bit. Just like letting myself mark out him saying they're the best brother tag team, and we all know obviously that's not true.
Yeah.
But and then a shout out to real quick again, just Ryan Nemeth. He's a good dork. He plays the dork very well. He's annoying. He continues to be annoying. And Slater, though, Leon Slater, I think he does a lot to benefit too, just because now they're putting him in the role where you're going to see him probably until he goes on to win the X Division title. You're going to see him probably in the ring with a lot of these like veterans, and whether he gets any wins, he's going to get the exposure just being in the ring with them and getting the rub from that. So this is good.
I mean, and Leon Slater's got to be getting that rub if he's going to break Amazing Red's record to become the youngest X Division champion of all time.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's a long ways away. So he's got to do something until then. So
yeah, it's March 20th. We got roughly 6 more months to go before he can officially break the record.
Yeah,
because he turns 21, I believe, September 20th. I think they said.
I believe so.
I know he turned 21 in September, though. Joseph says, Nick is so stupid to believe Ryan's BS. TNA has also been talked about for 23 years. I started following TNA religiously around 2007 when they started to have their women wrestle. Yeah, Ryan is a funny moron. He makes it so easy to hate him. TNA has done a great job of giving him a platform to detain us. I agree. It's so easy to get Ryan Nemeth booed. He's so Joseph says, right, Leon turns 21 September 27th. Okay, so we got a little over 6 months. Like, Ryan Nemeth does the annoying character so well. Just a high-pitched screech that he does, my brother. You know, he's so good at that. So,
yeah. He found his niche. Like, he found the character that's going to get him the most over. And that's being annoying. So, good for him.
For sure. I will say I could see the Nemeth being the ones to dethrone the Hardys here.
I'm assuming that's what's going to happen because, and I should have probably thought about this when I was making my predictions in terms of Jeff Hardy beating Moose at the time. Isn't there a show coming up that's in Canada for TNA?
Yeah, Under Siege, I believe.
And usually Jeff Hardy's not able to attend those shows, so they usually write him off some way. So, if anything, I think this would be the time to get the tag team titles off of them.
Joseph says he was thinking either the Hardy Boys or Fraxium. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's I think Fraxium could have a run with that. I could see them maybe being the ones to beat the Nemeth brothers down the line, but I do think that especially if they are going to a show in Canada, I could see the Hardys dropping the titles here pretty soon.
If the Nemeth brothers, I will say this: if the Nemeth brothers are gonna go after those tag titles, they gotta start racking up some wins as a tag team. They gotta be a believable tag team here. I mean, obviously we know they're real life brothers. They're not kayfabe brothers like Kane and the Undertaker, but that's not enough. You know, make it matter. Tell me a good story. So, huh?
They don't need. That's what I'm saying. I hope they don't have to do. They're heels, and Nic Nemeth is again. The gimmick is that Nic Nemeth is a former world champion in this company and other companies, and then Ryan Nemeth's brother. So that's that. The medium, like let's if Nic Nemeth is an A, and Ryan's a C, the median average is still a B. So they're an above average tag team. Yeah, so if they need to get one win, they don't need a winning streak to justify. Because again, like you point out, and again, I think that's the whole story here. Like and then because Nic Nemeth alluded to it, like family's bigger, like than friendship. And Ryan Nemeth's going to keep like backdooring his way in to situations because of who his brother is. So they're going to get a tag team title shot here soon.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll win on their first shot, but definitely they are going to be tag team champions. Ryan talks that BS and he has Stick to bail him out. That's true. That's true. He's that annoying kid that's like, well, I'm going to tell my big brother on you.
Exactly. It's like that scene in D2 The Mighty Ducks when he's like, I'm going to get my big brother. And then he does go get him. And then even the big brother's like, someone's like, your brother talks too much. And he's like, he does. He admits it. But you know what I mean? That's the whole point.
You're going to find this as surprising. And I'm sure people watching are going to find this surprising. I've actually never seen D2 The Mighty Ducks. I've actually never seen The Mighty Ducks.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
They're not that great of movies. I feel like a lot of people of our age have seen them, but I get that.
Io says crowd was great tonight. Hell yeah, they were. El Paso was bringing it. All right, so tonight's show starts off with the Masha Slamovich segment promo. She's talking about how Cora Jade stepped up and bought the fight, but it wasn't enough and is still a knockout champion. And she's on a mission to prove she's the toughest wrestler in the business and wants to prove she's the best wrestler in wrestling. She gets interrupted by Tessa Blanchard, who says she should spend more time dressing in the morning than talking. And she gets attacked by JC Jane. I was not expecting that. But next week it will be Masha versus JC Jane. So with that match taking place next week, and Tessa being banned from ringside thanks to Santino Marella, who made it official, are we going to see Fatal Influence?
Yeah, I'm glad. Even though I don't think they know that I'm a fan, but I'm glad TNA, they knew that. I like to think that they know I'm not. I feel whatever about the Tessa thing, so I was kind of down on this segment just because Masha's promo getting interrupted. But then for JC to come out and then I was immediately excited just because I've been asking for Fatal Influence, Beautiful People 2.0, to come to make an appearance in TNA. So yeah, I'm very excited about this.
Of course, keep I'm getting a phone call. Keep talking about your excitement.
And let me just say, not only do I think Fatal Influence, I think we get more than the segment we got tonight. I think we're not only going to see more of them just because I think they fit TNA, but I could actually see them being the ones to ultimately take the tag team titles off of Spitfire. I mean, not Spitfire, Ash by Elegance. I mean, Team Elegance. Even though they weren't, we only saw JC Jane tonight. I ultimately think that we're going to see more of them. And then going back to the Tessa part of the segment, yes, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I do have to point out that I don't think that they're going to immediately go into that match. I mean, I hope they don't. I'm fine with the slow build just because it doesn't seem like that they're forcing her on TV. She didn't dominate the segment, which I'm happy about that. Masha did get a lot of time. I wish she would have got more. So if we get the first, if that match comes sooner than later, I don't think that Tessa should win. I understand when we get to it, maybe if it's at the end of the year, I'm fine with that. But there's no way that I would have Masha win. I mean, Masha lose. And then I know we just talked about JC again, but I'm hoping we get Fallon and Jasmine Nix. And my ultimate dream segment would be for the beautiful people to come back, Angelina and Velvet, and kind of crown them the new beautiful people. I think that would be great.
That would be really cool. Sorry about that, you guys.
No
Justice says, this is a pleasant surprise. It feels like TNA knows that they are walking a tightrope with booking Masha versus Tessa. They make Tessa a 2-time knockout champion. Be prepared for the backlash. I also guess we'll see. Masha still has a target on her back for these NXT women. I'm surprised Masha hasn't gone over to NXT to defend, and the NXT have come here. Masha ain't really a promo, so it is what it is. JC reminds me of Regina George. She's the most experienced member of Fatal Influence, so I'm not surprised she's the one challenging Masha. That's true. I don't know how she's like Regina George. I get the reference and the analogy. Mean Girls, hello. It's not Wednesday for us.
Yeah, Fallon's I would say, yeah, Fallon is pretty experienced as well. JC a little more. Jasmine is the more rookie of the three. And going back to the backlash on Tessa, I think that fans should just kind of prepare for her to be champion. But at the same time, I think TNA can soften the backlash in turn by giving Masha the longest run possible. Just because again, if you look at it, it's inevitable that Masha's gonna lose, and it could be against Tessa. As long as Masha gets a good, long reign, I'm fine with, I don't want to see her drop it to Tessa. I would prefer her not to. But if Masha gets a long reign, I will ultimately be happy.
IO says non-title next week. Yeah, it's a non-title match. It's gonna be interesting. We'll talk more about Fatal Influence when we get to the championship celebration.
Yes.
Okay. So Joseph says, yeah, if Masha can go to Sama versus champion, I agree with Bert, but that will be okay. Okay. I think she can make it, but we'll see. So immediately after this, Santino Marella asks Ariana Grace what the hell happened out there. And Ariana Grace says she has no idea why JC Jane is out there. And he says that he needs to know these things because he does not like surprises.
I really like this just because, one, the more interactions with the two of them, the better. But just I kind of liked how just the it just seemed like it's not a surprise, but there was not a disagreement either. But it's not like she didn't know they were on the same page. I like this.
Same, because it kind of makes it seem like Fatal Influence are being, I don't want to say rebels, but are going there with their own agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And like Io says, where's NXT GM Ava when you need her? LOL. If you ask me, Tessa doesn't need the belt, but she's a measuring stick of the division. But that's another conversation. Yep. All right. So we get the Northern Armory in the form of Judas Icarus and Travis Williams versus the Rascalz. So it seems like it seems like commentary confirms that Travis Williams and Judas Icarus are no longer Sinner and Saint. They are just Travis Williams and Judas Icarus. I thought this was a great showing by them. Obviously, they need a little bit more work as they were not able to get a victory over the Rascalz here. Eric Young was on commentary for this, and it seems like we're setting up a rivalry or some type of match, maybe between the Rascalz and Ace Austin in the Northern Armory, because the Northern Armory did corner the Rascalz, and Ace Austin came out with the steel chair too, and Northern Armory ran away. So seems like we're get a side feud with them. But your thoughts on this?
One, they need to do more with Travis Williams and Judas Icarus, just because it seems like it's only like their fourth or fifth match as a tag team. And the whole time Eric Young was saying, obviously, and as he should, that they're going to, with his help, rule the tag team division for the next decade, carry it. So if that's going to be the case, they really need to do more. We need to get some promos. We need to get some, they definitely, with all that talking, they should have won. And if we get a 6-man, I was thinking, unless I'm misremembering this, at one point, didn't Steve Maclin, because he could fit in this, didn't he have a short alliance with the Rascalz at one point?
I think so. God, I don't remember.
If someone can help us out, I feel like he was teaming with, I don't know, when the Rascalz were heel and he was a heel. I don't know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
he did.
Honestly, if we get a Steve Maclin and Rascal reunion as faces, I'm fine with that, because it was just very quirky, him being in there. It doesn't fit on paper, but it's just funny, the idea of him being friends with them.
They just had a trios match. Oh yeah, and they got mad because he didn't help them, and then he got mad that they didn't. It was a short lived. It was a short lived.
It's like the idea of Scott Steiner. I mean, not Scott Steiner, but Buff Bagwell and Scott Norton being friends. They're total opposites. So Steve Maclin being with the Rascalz would be very funny again. I hope. Yeah. I'm fine with that. Go, because we have really. We all want him to show back up, but we really have no signs that Myron Reed is with TNA or will be back with TNA. So Steve Maclin teaming with the Rascalz seems more of a likely scenario.
And not to mention, with Jonathan Gresham gone, he really doesn't have anybody else to.
Yeah. I've obviously could team with Ace Austin, but I think they need to move Ace Austin away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From that.
All right, we get a Xia Brookside interview, and I thought this interview was kind of interesting because she goes on to say that every time she tries to do the right thing and tries to fight fair, someone takes advantage. And she says that Rosemary is getting in her head. So then Rosemary appears on the TV screen back there and lays out the challenge for Xia Brookside. So it's interesting because Is Rosemary slowly corrupting Xia Brookside here? Trying to get her to turn heel?
Yeah, I wonder if we're heading to a situation that kind of mimics the Julia Hart Sky Blue situation storyline where Xia kind of starts kind of acting a little bit like Rosemary, goes to the dark side, if you will. Which, again, I'm not. On one hand, I'm whatever to it, but on the other hand, I'm okay with it just because they are creating another team. It's interesting in that regard. So, yeah, let's see where this goes.
For sure, I'm intrigued. Io says, as far as I know, the Rascalz are just Wentz and Trey. Myron doing his own thing. Oh, okay. We get the first class Penthouse segment with Chavo Guerrero. And first, AJ Francis says that if he wanted to have the second best Guerrero, he would have caught his buddy Dominic. And Chavo says...
That's so fucked up.
I know. And Chavo says that the debate is still up as to whether or not Dominic is a Guerrero.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
So, Frankie Kazarian comes out. And they're like, nobody invited you. Why are you out here? But apparently, Frankie Kazarian says that he hasn't forgotten that Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez stole the tag titles from him and Christopher Daniels. I wasn't watching TNA at this time, so someone can fill me in, Bert.
Yeah, their team at the time, Bad Influence. I'm not remembering the match, but they did have a feud. I think this was back in 2012, 2013. But yeah, I almost, part of me wants to say, did they lose the titles on open fight night to Chavo and Hernandez? But I'm not sure.
Okay.
If I know I was in the chat, I will be able to help me out.
You say, yeah, 2012 to 2013. Yep.
Yeah. I was watching around there, but that is a long time ago, so.
It would be funny to see that 70 show sketch with the Rascalz trying to convince Steve Maclin to join them. Oh, that's funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. So basically, the whole point of this segment is we're going to get ourselves a trios match next week. It's going to be Kaz and First Class versus the Aztec Warriors and Chavo Guerrero.
That should be a fun match.
It should be. And I would think Chavo and Aztec Warriors would win because they're in El Paso, Texas.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, I want to talk about this week's podcast is sponsored by Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It's made up of not psychedelics, but 4 powerful mushroom adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you're trying to learn that new move, it will actually stick in your head rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system. We all know you need that on those nasty-ass gym mats. And on top of all that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to shroombar.com and use code BODYSLAM at the checkout for 25% off your first order.
Let's talk about Shroom Bar. I might order myself one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It says, a treat for El Paso fans to see Chavo Guerrero in the ring. Yeah, definitely going to be a treat. Should be interesting. Can't wait to talk about that next week.
Yes.
All right. Next, we get Mike Santana versus Mustafa Ali. Now, this match, before it even starts, Santana attacks Mustafa Ali. And once the match officially starts, Ali had enough. He doesn't want to deal with this. So he actually goes and yells at commentary and escapes through the crowd. And Mike Santana wins by countout. He wins by countout, and the Grey Hands escort Ali from the premises. Backstage, he tells Gia Miller that he didn't run from Mike Santana. He conquered Mike Santana. He was victorious at Sacrifice, and he has a message for Mike Santana, which is that they're done. And Tasha Steelz tells Gia that Santana and Ali are done and doesn't want any more questions to be asked. So I actually really like this because I thought this was an interesting way to get Ali to lose without being pinned by Mike Santana.
This was very smart just because part of me was being like, okay, yeah, Santana's going to win back, but at the same time, that's not smart. And yeah, having Ali basically duck him and run out, I'm fine with it. Brilliant. Because again, we don't need another pinfall actually that soon. We need to prolong this as much as we can. Even need to take a break till we get to the point where maybe after where we predict Santana, where we think he might win the title in his hometown. Let's do something different. Maybe Ali's in the title picture right now, and we take a break from this. But this was fine. And real quick, Tasha's continuing to kill it in this gimmick. I like how she said, we're done with Michael, calling him Michael Santana. And again, while the subject matter is a little touchy, I like the line that that Ali threw out that he's the one addiction. He said something. He said a great line. I can't do it justice, but Ali had a great line.
Let me see. Joseph says a very smart way to protect Ali because it came out that Ali was one of 7 wrestlers to be hurt at Sacrifice. Ali suffered a dislocated jaw. I heard of Ali and his dislocated jaw. Who are the other 6?
Well, Hardy.
Oh, yeah. Hardy.
I agree. I agree with Io.
Yeah, me too. This 2 can go in for months. I would do Mustafa facing Hardy soon. Tasha's killing it as a first lady. Imagine her wrestling as a first lady in this cabinet. This would be fun to see. Oh, yeah, definitely. I thought she was press secretary, though. Is she press secretary or the first lady?
I think the press secretary.
Yeah.
Or the speaker, you know what I mean? One of those.
Yeah.
I think he said do Ali versus Hendry, and I can honestly see that just because I don't see another strong heel for Hendry, a stronger heel for Hendry at this time than Ali. Because Maclin's a babyface, Santana's a babyface. Obviously, they could do Joe Hendry versus AJ Francis. We all know, again, AJ Francis is one of the ones that made Joe Hendry go viral. He talks about it all the time. People, you know what I mean? He did have something to do with that. They obviously could do that. But other than that, I don't see, other than the inevitable turn of Elijah, I don't see Joe Hendry facing anybody in the system. So Hendry versus Ali could be good.
And I have a feeling that if Henry versus Ali does happen, it's to use it to segue into even another match between him and Mike Santana. Because I could see Santana costing Ali that title opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Io says, press secretary. Oh, okay. Joseph says, it was a Hardy's. Alicia Edwards suffered a concussion. Lee suffered a busted eardrum. Ooh. Mike Santana injured hand. Moose suffered a hip injury. Ooh. There's Cass, obviously. So she had an injury report. It would be interesting to see if Joe works Unbreakable April 17th. Yeah, it definitely would be. I agree.
There's part of me that thinks that, if Joe works Unbreakable?
Yeah.
There's part of me that thinks that there could be a chance of Kaz announcing his cash-in for, kind of his hometown. He's from Southern California, when they're going to be there next month, and losing. Just because I don't know if Kaz is in the plans anymore with Ali and Santana kind of you know what I mean? I want Kaz to get it, but I just don't know if it's going to happen.
Let me see. Io says, I think Ali and Santana is going to involve the title at some point. He'll be there. It's Vegas, LL. I will say, before Ali came back, I thought the next 2 champions were going to be Frankie and Mike. You know? Definitely Mike is winning at Slammiversary in the main event. I would think so. I don't know who else you could put in the main event, but definitely he's winning in the main event at Slammiversary. But now I don't know if it's going to be Ali versus Santana or Frankie Kazarian versus Santana at Slammiversary. Because now with Ali back in the mix, it's so hard to say. I guess you just have to. Either way, it could go either way. It could go either way. So it'll either A, go to Frankie versus Santana, and then you get Santana versus Ali feuding for the title, or Ali gets a title run and Santana takes the title off of him. So it can go either way. I guess we gotta wait and see. So after this is the Nemeth brothers segment, which I talked about at the beginning. So to go ahead and jump into Xia Brookside and Ying versus Savannah Evans and Rosemary. So I think this was a really good match. You know, a lot of showcase of the women tonight, and we'll get more into that as we get into the championship celebration. But what did you think of this match?
I did like it. I like how we're getting more of Savannah, just because they need to kind of build her up to the position of being that, that next kind of monster type heel. You know what I mean? And they really haven't done anything up with her singles wise up until this point. But I like this.
Yeah, they definitely have a long way to go to rebuild up Savannah. Joseph says that's the thing. I would have Santana win the title at Summerversary. I think they may have an NXT talent face Joe at Unbreakable if he works. I don't even know if Joe's gonna defend it at Unbreakable, because the main event is obviously gonna be an homage to the 3-way Ultimate X match.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see. Right now, it's too soon to tell. We got about a month to go. I think it'll start to take. I think whatever happens at Unbreakable, it'll become clear in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
All right. So we get a championship celebration by Elegance. Bert, as you know,
I'm gonna start crying.
Weddings, contract signings, and championship celebrations always end in disaster. No matter what company it is, they always end in freaking disaster, and this was no different. So Ash and Heather are out there celebrating, and they get into it by metaphor. Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, and they make their intentions known. They want the Knockouts tag titles because according to them, they're one of the top tag teams in any women's division, and anything they want, they go get. Spitfire comes out and says that they have a rematch. Let me tell you, it's about fucking time. You and I always talk about how they should need to utilize the NXT women's. We got Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley also coming out. Tatum Paxley saying that they have been severely underutilized, and they also want the Knockouts tag team titles. A brawl breaks out between everybody. Security attempts to break up the brawl. Santino Marella comes out and talks about how he's a little scared of of Lash Legend because she tossed that security over the rope. And then he says next week is going to be Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley versus the Elegance brand with Spitfire and the Metaphor Girls banned from ringside. And Ariana Grace comes out and says she has authority over the Metaphor and bans it from ringside next week. So this was finally we got what you and I have been talking about this for weeks, probably even months. We've been saying that it's time NXT women's tag teams come to TNA. So what were your thoughts on this segment?
I loved it, first of all. And the only thing I complain about is I could give a shit about. I hate the automatic rematch clause in TNA. I hate Hannah Fan even acknowledging it's like, you should know this, like to Ray Walt. This was great. And if TNA, in the meantime, obviously the goal would be to make their own stars, make their own teams from signing their own or creating their own from their own roster. This is the next best thing. If they're going to be in a partnership with NXT, vice versa, what better way to utilize, again, Tatum acknowledged it. They have way too many women's teams on there that are underutilized. So TNA has a division that doesn't have any teams, so it seems pretty cut and dry to me what has to be done. So, again, the way I look at it now, this division just went from 2 to 4. So.
And earlier, we saw GCG attack Masha Slamovich. So I wonder if Fatal Influence is eventually going to get involved in this Knockouts tag team title mix.
And it's like I said, like, in my head, we know releases happen. Someone who was just previously released, Xia, now Ying from NXT, is in TNA. She was released before the partnership. So I guarantee you, if she has friends there, I would think that she would talk about, how great, I think the division is booked very well in TNA. So it's always possible anybody who doesn't work out in WWE/NXT could end up in TNA.
Oh, I can see that. Just as this was my favorite segment, if they aren't going to put the women's tag team championships in NXT, send some teams over to help the Knockouts tag team division. Lashley's imposing. Can't blame Santino. Hello. I think the Elegance brand shouldn't be cocky. The duo that represents, as fans call them online, Chemical X, Gigi and Tatum, Chemical X Powerpuff Girls? Aren't no joke. They should be lucky shots it didn't come over to NXTNA.
That's a great name, Chemical X, by the way. I forgot that was their name. Lash and Jakar ultimately should win. They if booked right, they could be very, like, big time. Just because they have a look. Like, they ooze charisma. Like, they're both stars in their own right. And, like, going back to what Io says, like, Lash is very imposing. You know what I mean? They both they carry themselves like stars. So them kind of getting a little more seasoned in TNA for them, to ultimately go back and have a run with the NXT titles. I think that'd be best for both sides.
I have a feeling we're gonna get a multi-woman tag match. Like, we're not okay, maybe not a multi-women tag match, but a multi-women, how can I say this? Like a fatal 4-way, fatal 5-way knockouts tag team. Knockouts tag team title match here. That's what I meant. Well, involving all these teams.
Well, also too, I could, you have the way they're gonna announce it. Probably just I could see them doing the Metaphor Girls versus Chemical X, and obviously I could see the Spitfire Elegance brand rematch coming fairly soon. Because I would think that they would want to do an NXT versus TNA title match on Unbreakable just because, the timing of it. Both brands in, I think TNA is going to be live that Thursday. It's WrestleMania weekend. They're going to, that would have the most eyes on them.
That's going to be excruciating, man. That's like an 8-hour show. No, hold on.
Oh, yeah.
6 hours.
They're doing a live show, a live TNA episode, and then a pay-per-view, technically, right? Or like a TV special.
Thank God you and I are on the West Coast, and the show will start. It'll go 5 to 7, and then 7 to
10.
9, 10?
Probably 9:30, 10, yeah.
Thank God we're on the West Coast, because if we were on the East or Central, couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Joseph says the TNA Knockouts Tag Titles Championship are the first titles that I predict will change companies. Yeah, I think so too. I could see that happening. I don't think it's going to happen right away based on what happened tonight, but I definitely could see that happening. And honestly, I wouldn't mind if Jakar Jackson and Lash Legend are chosen to make history,
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of pulling for. So we'll see what happens, but yeah.
All right. Io says, shout out to former LAX member Homicide retiring tonight. Live episode in Irvine in May after Rebellion. Oh, I heard about that, but I ain't going to Irvine. That's too far.
Yeah.
I think it's even further from you, huh?
Well, yeah, it's further, but I'm saying you're closer to it, but it's still very far.
Yeah, I'm closer to Irvine, but I ain't going over there. It's really far. I would have to leave the night before in order for me to get to the show on time.
Yeah.
I ain't doing that. All right. So honestly, I'm really excited. I cannot wait to see what we get out of this. Hopefully, we get more women. Like we still haven't seen Zara and Soruka, but I think they'll come later. Next, you get an enhancement match. It's Mance Warner versus Mango. This was pretty much an enhancement match. It would have been hilarious if Sami Callihan got involved in this. Cost Mance Warner the match. I would have been. But
they.
Go ahead.
I don't want to take this for granted just because it's better than we were, but they need to kind of slowly wrap this up and figure out what they're going to do with the DNC.
Mm-hmm. I agree because they commentary keeps mentioning she's not officially recognized as a digital media title, a digital media champion. So yeah, I definitely do think that they either need to come up with a way to reestablish a title, or they should just retire the title because at this point, it's like they're not doing anything now unless, like you said, this leads to like a match, like a title match between Sami Callihan and SDL. To reestablish the title, okay, but if it's not going to lead anything, the title is just a prop at this point.
Yeah, agreed.
You could have been defending the title, you could have had SDL defend that title every week on Explosion, but I think she's still injured, so that's just me though. I don't want to sound like a broken record. Preached all about it last year. I don't want to bring up that anymore. All right. Next, we got Steve Maclin Vignette, and he's basically talking about Eric Young and in the Northern Armory, and he basically brings up the fact that like he doesn't need anyone's leadership, and he's gonna die on the hill where he stacked bodies and will stand on that hill by himself. So obviously, the feud between the Northern Armory and Steve Maclin is not done here.
And that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Which, like you mentioned earlier, would be interesting if Steve Maclin reunites with the Rascalz.
Yeah.
So the main event ends up being Joe Hendry and Elijah versus the System in the form of Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers. I think Joe Hendry and Elijah work really well together. I feel like they're doing a slow build to Elijah versus Joe Hendry, if you ask me. And then I don't know if they would actually put Joe Hendry and Elijah in a tag team match after Joe Hendry loses that world title. I don't know how you would feel about a potential tag team between them.
Honestly, I'd rather just get the heel turn over with, and if that's while I'm not thrilled of it, I honestly could see that being maybe the main event. I mean, Joe Hendry's match for Rebellion. Him versus Elijah. I can't. At this point, I can't see anybody else. I don't think they're going to build to him and Ali versus that short amount of time. So, because if, as it stands right now, there's 5 episodes of Impact until Rebellion.
Okay.
So I don't think that they will do the Ali feud just yet.
But in 5 episodes,
so sorry, go.
So, but in 5 episodes, you can have Elijah turn on Joe Hendry.
That's what I'm saying. So, I'm just like looking at the roster, and I just don't see who else they would have to face him. They obviously could book like they usually do, a 5-way match. The winner gets Joe Hendry the title. I could see that. Gets Joe Hendry at Rebellion. Because I think if he defends the title at Unbreakable, it'll definitely be against somebody from NXT in a surprise match.
I could see that just because, like I said, I don't think Joe Hendry's main eventing Unbreakable.
No.
So I think he'll definitely main event Rebellion. I think Unbreakable will probably just be kind of like you said, a throwaway match. Well, not a throwaway match, but some from NXT.
Yeah.
Especially since it'll be WrestleMania weekend. NXT's doing Send and Deliver, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe Hendry and Eli should get the victory. No surprise here. And that was it. That was pretty much how Impact ended tonight. So overall, what are your thoughts on this show?
It was very good. Very fun. I think it went by very quick. It was a very fun show.
Io says anything can happen next month. We'll see. Oh yeah, definitely. I agree. This was such a fun show. I was really entertained. I'm glad we're finally getting somewhere with the Knockouts tag team division here. Because if we would have had one more match with Spitfire and Elegance, I would have ripped my hairs out.
So did the show that they just tape? They taped this week's show and next week's show.
Yeah.
And so where will the next few shows be taped that are in between Rebellion?
Let me pull up the live event calendar. Because I know Rebellion is on the 27th.
Yes.
Live events here. Let me see. Okay, so they're doing St. Joseph March 28th and March 29th.
Okay.
So I feel like these episodes, the St. Joseph, Missouri, that's what's gonna lead us to Rebellion.
Yes. So they're gonna tape. So yeah, because they're in El Paso next week again. So yeah, they're gonna tape 4 weeks worth of shows, or because they might tape something while they're in Vegas. You know what I mean?
So I think the way it's gonna go down, they're gonna definitely tape. We're definitely gonna tape it for the 3rd and the 10th. The 17th is Unbreakable. The 24th will probably get taped from Vegas, and then there'll be Rebellion live on the 27th.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll also find out on this week's Raw if Joe Hendry is going to be Jey Uso's mystery partner, and if he is, Brett and I will definitely talk about it.
Oh, that's right. I think I'd see that maybe happening. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it will though. It'll most likely be somebody from Raw.
We have to wait and see. All right. April 17th will be both Impact and Unbreakable back to back. Oof, that's gonna be a doozy, but I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph says, "LL, people wanted to be Joe so bad because Raw's in Glasgow. He ain't that far." I don't know. I wouldn't advertise a mystery partner and get people excited. All right. So just before
he could already be there though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Raw and Cena and Scarlett and Hendry is now is your chance. LOL. That's so true.
It's true.
All right. So before we sign off again, just want to remind everybody this week's podcast is sponsored by Shroom Bar, the protein mushroom bar. It is made up of not psychedelics, but 4 powerful mushrooms, adaptogens. It has lion's mane, which increases focus, memory, and neuroplasticity, making it easier to form new patterns and learn new things. Next time you are trying to learn that new move, it will actually stick in your head rather than forgetting it immediately. It has cordyceps, which increases VO2 max, blood flow, and overall endurance. It has reishi, which decreases stress. It has turkey tail, which boosts your immune system. We all know y'all need that on those nasty ass gym mats. And on top of that, it has 12 grams of protein. Go to eShroomBar.com and use code BODYSLAM at checkout 25% for 25% off your first order. Alrighty, guys. Thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever we go live or release a new video. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye.